Hello everyone, this is Tamara, your courtroom companion. If you've been involved with a narcissist in a relationship of any sort, whether that's an intimate relationship or a family member that you're in a relationship with, whether it be a parent or sibling, you know all too well how painful that relationship is. Have you ever kind of wondered how to sort of get that person out of your life and out of your head for good? Well, stay tuned because I'm going to share with you how I did it to where I have 100% peace, even though that person is in my life still, not in my home or anything, but I still have to have a relationship with this person because we share a child together. So I'm going to share with you how I got 100% peace. So stay tuned for that. If you're new to the channel, this is where we talk about narcissism, family court, and custody. So if those topics are of interest to you, then this is the right channel for you. Please do read my disclaimer below. It's got some important information. Nothing I say here should be taken as professional advice, whether it be legal advice or mental health therapy. I'm not a therapist or an attorney, so don't take any of this as professional advice. And as always, I would really appreciate you subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hit that like button and the bell notification so you'll be notified when I upload my content. If this channel or this video resonates with you in any way, I do offer one-on-one coaching. So if you're interested in learning more about that, I do offer a free discovery call. I'll put a link in the description below. If you have been on the other end of narcissistic abuse, you know exactly how gut-wrenching that experience can be. It leaves you very raw, it leaves you very vulnerable. And in a way, it leaves you kind of almost like defenseless because they beat you down so much emotionally that it's hard to kind of recognize who you are. It's hard to have those same kinds of strategies to get out of the relationship. You're almost not the same person you were when you went into that relationship. If the narcissist in your life is actually a family member and you grew up with this person, say it's a parent or a sibling, and you were on the other end of, daily, weekly, frequent abuse, you may not even know what your life would be like or who you would be had that abuse not occurred. But I want to share with you that regardless of whether it is a family member or an intimate relationship, you can come out the other side actually sometimes even better. And I am I'm testifying to that like firsthand. I am not the same person as when the abuse first started, but I'm a much better person now because I'm stronger and I've built up some defense mechanisms and some strategies to keep non-healthy people out of my life. So I'm actually better than I was when I went in. So if you are able to implement some of what I share here today in this video, I think that there is hope that your life will be much more peaceful and much more enjoyable. So definitely keep watching. If you haven't already read my personal story at my website, courtroomcompanions.com, you can check that out. And I go over a little bit more detail than in this video. The story does share with you how I came out on the other side. So I'm going to share with you what you do, or rather what you don't do, in order to keep the narcissist out of your life and out of your head for good. So what you don't do is to provide the narcissist what they call narcissistic supply. And by narcissistic supply, I mean entering into any kind of communication with that narcissist where that narcissist is playing those emotional mind games, whether that be, storytelling, whether they are rewriting history, whether they are gaslighting you, whether they are straight out lying, emotional abuse, financial abuse, any of those games that narcissist typically enters into with their victim. You have to cut off that supply. What I mean by supply, let me give you an analogy. A narcissist needs a victim in order to carry this abuse out. They need someone who's willing to defend themselves. They need someone who is willing to go at all costs to right the record. And it's like food, that's the analogy. Narcissists need a victim as many of us need food or breath in our body. If they don't get that supply from you, they move on. It's too much effort for them to continue going down the same road with you if you're not going to supply them any food supply or any narcissistic supply. You know, narcissists will try to blame you. They will project their own emotional abuse. So if they accuse you of lying, that's what they're doing. If they accuse you of drinking too much, that's what they're doing. Projection gives you insight into how they view themselves. And so if you don't enter into that fight with them, if you don't enter in that communication with them, they are not getting that narcissistic supply met. Narcissists have zero emotional intelligence. And so they enter into all these mind games and all this emotional abuse because they don't know how to interact with people. They don't know they don't have empathy, and so they don't know how to gauge in healthy communication. So they do all this mind games and emotional abuse and all kinds of other abuse in hopes that their victim will defend themselves, try to write the record, try to engage in reasonable communication. But all they do is twist those words, and it's just a vicious cycle. And so their victim is left feeling very vulnerable and raw and abused. I can say that over my 8-year custody battle, I received sometimes daily, every other day, kinds of emails and text messages from my ex, and they were paragraphs long, sometimes pages long. And because we were in the middle of a custody battle, I felt like I had to write the record, because if he was going to document something, I was going to document the truth. And it was just this vicious cycle. And it didn't matter how much I tried to be reasonable with this person, it never resulted in anything but destruction to me and emotional trauma for me. So at some point, I just didn't have the will anymore to engage in the conversation. So I just stopped defending myself. I stopped trying to write the record. And something magical happened. This person's emails and text messages got shorter and shorter and shorter. And what I realized was, at the time I didn't know this is what I was doing, but I cut off the supply from me to him. And it was just really interesting, because now I don't receive any. I mean, even up until like maybe 6 months ago, I was still receiving small ones. And I would look at those emails or those text messages and go, nothing in that needs to be responded to. It's not related to the importance of my son, so I just didn't respond. And if there was something in there that I need to respond to, I would respond to that, ignore the rest. And now I don't receive any. 100% I receive none. Doesn't mean I will never receive any, but I'm going to handle it in the same way. I'm going to cut off the supply from me to him. I think what I realize, probably it's my own interpretation, is I think he just finds it too much effort now. It's wasted. He can send me a text message, as of 6 months ago, and I wouldn't respond to what he needed me to, so he stopped trying. He's probably moved on to something else or someone else to get that narcissistic supply met. So basically over time, I said less and less, and now I have 100% peace. What I'd like to call these things that narcissists do, it's kind of like unwritten request. They're unwritten narcissistic supply request. They engage in a mind game. If you play, then he's actually sent you that unwritten request, and you went into it trying to be reasonable, but it's never going to amount in anything other than trauma and heartache for you. And so just ignore the supply requests. I know that that's hard to do if you've been doing it for a really long time with this person, but just practice a little bit at a time, and you will see that those emails and text messages and that abuse gets smaller, 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 to where it's non-existent. If you haven't checked out my video on communication and boundaries and implementing a parallel parenting plan, I'm going to link that above and below, because I go more in depth on how to do this. But in this video, I just wanted to share with you how to stop the narcissistic abuse by cutting off the supply. Just cut it off, and you will see that over time, that narcissist will find that you're too much effort for them. They're not getting that supply met, so they're going to go to someone who's easier to get that supply met. Also, again, if you'd like to work one-on-one with me, I'll link below a link to a free discovery call with me, where we can practice more about how to cut off the supply. I know everybody's situation is unique, and sometimes it lasted for years, and everybody's going to need, some help and support for their particular situation, and that's why I'm here, and that's why I started Courtroom Companions. It's a passion of mine to help others get out from underneath narcissistic abuse. I have done that for myself, and I'd like to share what I've learned with others. So as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.